Hey folks, this is Gray here, and I want to welcome everybody back to the channel. It's been several weeks. I had to take a hiatus, just personal things and whatnot. And I got some fun things coming up, but we're here to talk about a specific product. But I also want to welcome everyone back just because I missed you guys. Matter of fact, I'll be right back. I got to go grab the product that we're discussing in today's video. Well, folks, you have to give credit where credit's due. This is called the ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite by Olight. And shockingly enough, for an EDC portable light, they have done a hell of a job. All right, so folks, in this video, this is my first look at the Olight ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite. Something Olight launched back about a month ago, but they released it on the 15th, which is 3 or 4 days ago, whenever this video happens to, grace YouTube's presence, per se. So in this video, what are you going to get out of it? That's a good question, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over the specifications of the ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite to see which one might be best for you if you're in the market for something like this. We're going to do some night shots. Hopefully they came out good. I used a new microphone in there, so there's a couple hiccups. Just playing around with things, that's the life of a YouTuber. But we're going to look at comparisons of the two so that see kind of what features will best fit your needs for an everyday carry light. And the reason I consider this an everyday carry light is because it's the flat style variation that kind of fits nicely into the pocket. Now, I personally feel they have outdone themselves. I've been privy to some of this information for a little bit. And the technology and where they're going with this stuff just happens to blow my mind in regards to how they pack such a punch into a little small compact light. We'll also look at pricing and if there's any sales going on, we'll also link all that stuff down in the description. Yes, I'm an affiliate of Olight, so this is not a biased review. I've had some things by Olight that just missed the mark. As you folks know, I've really liked the Arkfeld ecosystem. And now they have introduced the ArkPro with some very great upgrades. It's like when you get that new phone and the upgrades aren't like that pronounced. They really put their engineers behind the mark on this one and did some really great things. All right, so first of all, if you want to skip the specifications and go straight to the night shots, I'll put chapters in there for the folks that don't care what I have to say. Yes! 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 In regards to specifications, or the overhead view of the light, how it looks, how it functions, because we're going to go over that back on the back bench like we normally do. And yeah, that'll be the gist of it. We'll wrap up with my final thoughts and opinions on the ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite. I'll also throw up on a screen a comparison chart so you guys can kind of look at that and kind of hone in what's going to be best for you. Price points aren't too bad. Last time I looked, but that was about a month ago, so things change. All right, and here we are. So we have two of the Arkfelds. This is the Ultra. I think this is the Pro, and then we have the ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite. Just to kind of give you an idea of the size comparison. So let's look at the Ultra and the ArkPro. As you can see, they're very close. Maybe just a hair bit bigger. It's not horrible. Doesn't look too bad. From my understanding, if you look at that, let me see if I can get these lined up right on the money. Looks good there, looks good there. Barely noticeable. But what you will notice is these dials right here on them. Because this has this black dial, and of course, it has all your settings so that you can kind of flip through these things to go on there. And of course, it always has the, when you turn them on, you can kind of see that, that green light there. It kind of pops in and on. I put it real close up there for you. So when you turn it off, it'll let you know how much is charged. All right, so now let's kind of focus in on these two lights here. You can definitely see the difference from the Lite versus the Pro variation of them. And the bezel looks very clean. This kind of knurling here kind of makes it pop a little bit. You guys can see that. Bring it up close to the camera. There you go. Just want to make sure my lighting's good enough so you can see that on there. The emitters are very similar, except there's some differences in the emitters itself. You can see the emitter heads. outside of that, when it comes to diameter and stuff like that, they're pretty much spot on. Same type of charging on these guys, except now you have the option to use Type-C for when you don't have one of the normal connectors. I call it the proprietary Olight connector, which is something like this, where you tap it on the back and it's via USB-A on there. They both have that option so that you can use it Type-C. Some people don't like these doors. They don't really bother me too much, especially when it's on the charger. Like I said, same thing with this guy here. The Lite has the same aspect of it where you can charge via Type-USB and original Olight magnetic charging, whichever your preference is. Now, before we get into further specs, I'm going to throw up on the screen basically a comparison review. You guys can screenshot that and just take a look at it, just to kind of get an idea of the differences in the two. If you're looking for specific specifications, that should be able to help you out. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I want to talk about specifically about the ArkPro itself. And if I jumble the names up and call it an Arkfeld, you have to understand I've been using the Arkfelds for a very, very long time, and the ArkPro is still new to me. So I may mistakenly make that determination, you know, just by speaking. Anyways, a couple of notable things about this is that bezel there. I mean, it's very clean. I like the blue. It's a little bit recessed, so it's nice and flat. So, you know, it doesn't really kind of have that bouncy kind of thing in there. And what I mean by that is, if you remember the originals, it's hard to tell. I don't know if I can get this on camera, but this is a bit raised. So it's in your pocket. You might be able to accidentally turn that on just by kind of going across it and not realize it until your pocket gets a little warm from having that light on. Who knows? This is more recessed in there. If you guys can see that, it's just more recessed into that, so you don't have that same issue. I do like that it's recessed in there. Also, from your different settings here, because you have, of course, you have 3 different settings on the bezel here. So let's take a look at that. You have where you're going to kind of go from 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to have your, basically your flood, you're going to have your spot, and you're going to have your ultraviolet. So some folks may, well, where's the laser at? Some people like the laser, you know, for pointing or whatever that you may use a laser for. What they've done with that is they've moved it to the side. And that laser button's going to be right here. You push that, and that's going to give you your laser pointer. And that's that. You know, it'd be very interesting if they could ever incorporate this button here and have a little digital screen, which I'm assuming that it would increase the cost, but it kind of give you like a little rangefinder by using that laser. Because I've used this as a level. Yes, I have. I've used the Arkfeld Pro as a level, just to give me kind of an idea where I'm trying to, you know, shoot something at or point something at. Outside of that, it's a very clean looking light, but some people may want to know the specific specifications on this bad boy. It is a white LED. Again, it has a flood spot and a UV LED. Has the green laser, the strobe, which you know, the strobe, to each his own. You know, if you use it, great. If you don't use it, it's not a big deal. I'm glad that they put the turbo back on the 2-button mode, because when I would tap this twice and its strobe would come on, it would be driving me crazy because I had to tap it 3 times in order to get my ultra on there. You know what I mean? Like the actual maxed out lumens that you can possibly get. Speaking of which, this is 1500 lumens in turbo mode, not ultra mode, turbo mode, which is a lot compared to the original, I think, which was capped off about 1200. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just kind of going by memory. The spotlight mode that you're going to use on here is about 800 lumens. The great thing is you do have 5 levels of brightness across the board when it comes to these lights. Being that if you're in flood mode, which is a very clean flood, you'll see that in the night shots. There's no hot spot in the flood mode. And then, of course, you have your spot mode. So you can go from moonlight to low, medium, high, and turbo. So moonlight, low, medium, high, and turbo. So those are your 5 settings on that. The laser in here, for folks that care, does have a class 3R plus or minus or greater or less than 5 milliwatt laser with 2 brightness levels. So I thought that was interesting that you have 2 brightness levels of the green laser now. So if you want to be a little bit more, I guess, discreet, use it lower, but you can also push it up higher. Also, that being said, in the UV mode, it has a high and low. Basically, 1,000 milliwatts versus 360 milliwatts, which I really like. I use this in my garden a lot. I'll throw up a little clip or a picture or something on the screen so you can see how I can find tobacco hornworms, tomato hornworms, whatever the name that they're called. They're very similar in nature, but I like the fact this works great because they shine like light bulbs. Scorpions and other types of little creatures out there that kind of just bing, and it's pitch black, and they just show up, and they're easy to get off your plants. So again, I like it because it's multi-use. What else I want to say? IPX7 rating on this. So if it's raining and you're getting splashed or whatever, you're fishing with it or whatnot, just don't drop it overboard. You're going to be in pretty good standing. The construction of the new ArkPro is going to be stainless steel clip and as well as an aluminum body on this. Is not the OEL. This is not the Ultra, which hopefully they'll be so kind to send me one of those because I am a big collector of the Ultra stuff. If you watch my EDC video that I did. The beam throw on the spot mode is 224 yards, which is about 205 meters. The weight of this thing is probably about, I think it's about 4.1 ounces or 115 grams. And that's kind of going to give you an idea of the light itself of the ArkPro. I'm trying to be as thorough as possible because this is relatively new to the market. And I just want to give you guys as much information as possible. They do have different colors. I wish I would have got the green, but hey, you can't be too picky when you're partnerships with these companies and they just send it to you regardless to do a review on and to get your thoughts on. Because it's not just sending it product to you to do a review. They really, really want your feedback on their stuff. Like hey, we appreciate the video and we appreciate you being part of our affiliate partnerships. But really tell us what your thoughts are personally. Write us an email. Let us know. Our engineers, our techs, our team would like to hear back from you. And that's not commonplace with a lot of other companies. All right, so let's check out the ArkPro Lite. Very compact. You can see the size difference in them. It's probably about, I don't know, about a half an inch in size. Maybe you have shallower pockets. Maybe this is more comfortable for you. Maybe it fits in a pack a little easier. You be the decider in that. But let's kind of talk about this. So this doesn't have a spotlight or a green laser. So they removed that, but they added a red emitter, which I'm a fan of. Hence why I'm kind of conflicted on which one I like. I'm probably just going to run both. So that being said, let's talk about it. It's white LED for the flood, a UV light, and a red LED. The white light maximum output is 1200 lumens, so 300 lumens less than the actual full-size variation of this. And just to kind of give you the difference between the two, like I said, 300 lumens, if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. It's nice to have. And the 5 levels, same thing, moonlight mode, low, medium, and high, and then turbo. I'm trying to think else. The red UV mode. This is what I like, is when you take some ingenuity, because usually on a headlamps that I have or some other products that I've used in the past, because I'll be switching things out. Usually I'll give them away or hand them to other folks, to my wife, to my daughter, to friends and family, if something better comes along, because why not pass, that on? It's just being nice. Anyway, so the UV red light, or the UV light and the red LED have a couple of different brightness levels. So the red light modes, you have a 40 lumen and a 5 lumen. The 40 lumen comes in handy to really put some things up, and you can probably tell that in the night shots. So you get the 40 and the 5. The UV modes, again, you have 100 milliwatts and 360 milliwatts. Or not 100, sorry, 1,000 milliwatts and 360 milliwatts. It is a rechargeable lithium-ion polymer battery. Matter of fact, I should have said that this is 2,000 milliamps versus 1,350 milliamps. Same charging mechanisms like I discussed earlier with USB-C, and of course the MCC tail cap charging. This also has an IPX7 rating. Again, aluminum body, stainless steel clip. And the weight of this one is going to be 3.8 ounces versus the 4.1 ounces of this one, or 107 grams versus 115 grams. Beam throw on this one is about 94 meters, or I should say beam, but the throw on it is 94 meters because it's not like a spot, it's the flood, but kind of get the idea of the beam throw. is about 94 meters or 308 feet. Like I said, I don't really think I need to go into the size. They're very both compact, but if you really want to be technical, this is about like 5 by 1 by a ½ inch roughly. And this one is kind of about 4.5 by 1.1 by a ½ inch roughly. Those are just some rough estimates of the lights themselves. And that's the logistics of these two lights. I mean, honestly, which would you pick? The Pro, the Lite? Of course, if I had the Ultra, that's also an option. We'll talk more in a different video about Olight creating their own emitters, their LED emitters. I think it's pretty impressive what they got going on and the technology going into these lights. But let's go ahead and, like I said, which one would you choose? Would you choose one or the other? Both? You're like me, I'm a bit conflicted because I like the red light in this one, and then I also like the power that you have in this. So depending, I guess, what your scenario is, run them both, run them independently, or just choose one. Outside of that, let's get into the night shots. All right, folks, so first we're going to use the beam shot. And I'm going to do an overhead view and a front view. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on low. All right, so this is the beam shot on low. Probably can't see much. The overhead you can see down here. That's me right there with the light. You can kind of see it on camera, but not. That's the lowest setting there. We'll go ahead and turn it up. That's the next setting. Not too bad. All right, let's go high. That is definitely putting out a lot more light. A lot more light. This is the beam of the ArkPro. You can see that there. We can move it up towards the trees. It's a nice spot. Very, very pinpointed spot, as you can see. When I point it towards the ground, you can kind of see the beam on the ground there. Kind of gives you an idea. I'm going to go ahead and hit it in turbo mode, which should be 2 clicks. 1, 2. And that's going to give us our brightest beam yet. This is on the ground. You can kind of see how bright that is as I'm kind of panning there. The drone is about, where is it at? 30 feet in the air. And that's what it looks like from above, and this is what it looks like down here. All right, so let's go ahead and turn that off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in flood mode. And you guys can look up there. This is me down here in flood mode. And now let's kind of point it out towards there. I am using a red light in case you see that hue. That's on low. Let's go ahead and move it up to medium. You could actually start seeing something. Nice flood. Doesn't have the distance of the beam, but if you're just trying to light up an area. Let's go to our next setting. That's a lot more light. As you can see, either from the top or this front-facing area, the tree line is probably about 20 to 25 feet away from me. Pointed up towards the trees. But as a flood, it works great. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put this in turbo mode, 2 taps, 1, 2. And that's going to be its maximum output. And to me, that is an awesome flood. It's very clean. There is no spot. It's just flood. You don't see that weird kind of like you would see with other things where there's like a like that hot center. Pointed towards the ground, lights everything up nicely. Pointed towards the woods, it's lighting things up, and that's at that 1500 lumens where we're maxing it out. All in all, that's a very clean looking light. All right, so now we're going to head and check out the ArkPro Lite. Let's go ahead and turn that thing on. And I'm going to kind of point at the ground so you guys can see the actual light is on. Because this is in low. All right, let's go ahead and put it into medium. Definitely getting a lot more light there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and put it in high mode. Definitely a lot more light. Same premise as the ArkPro, a little less lumens. And as you can see from the above light there, you can kind of see as I'm panning across how it looks from about 30 feet up. This also has a turbo function, so we're going to go ahead and tap that, 1, 2. And that's going to give us our brightest light. We look up towards the trees up there. And it's looking pretty good. And as you can see from the drone's perspective, it's lighting up a lot of light in front of us. As I pan across, point it up towards the drone. Even if I'm looking over here in the woods, you can kind of see that, how it lights up things really close to you. There's some distance there. And you can see where it falls off. All right, so now we're going to switch this into a different mode. All right, folks, now the ArkPro Lite has a red light mode, which I really like. Preserves your night vision, good for around the camp. You're waking up at night, just looking stuff, you don't want to bother anybody. It doesn't draw bugs like white light does, or even yellow light. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. I'll face it towards the camera so you can see that I have it on low. And I'm going to face it towards the ground so you can kind of see it has 2 different settings. The camera quality is only going to be so good because, you know, cameras only pick up so much light. Do the best I can with this. Try to raise it up where it drops off. But in the second, in high mode, I think it's just low and high. You're going to go ahead and hold that down. It's going to be really bright. As you can see, that looks a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and pan up this tree here. Pan around a little bit. So you can see that distance. This tree here is probably maybe 12 feet away from me. So it is a nice red light. If you're walking, let me go ahead and point this down like if I was walking through the woods. You can kind of see how you pay attention to what you're doing. You can still see things as you're walking so that you don't, fall down or whatnot. This is some very interesting terrain here. But as you can see, the red light in the higher mode looks really good. There's a tree right there, and that tree is a lot further away. We can kind of pan up with it. See if I can get this right on the money. There we go. But it kind of gives you an idea of the distance of the red light. All right, folks, so that is going to be the overview of the ArkPro versus the ArkPro Lite. They're not really versus, but 2 different types of styles of lights. And like I said, it always depends on what you, the viewer, are in the market for. If you're looking for a new flat EDC light that's going to give you lots of options, that it's kind of an all-in-one package, this might be the light for you. Now, one thing I do like about the ArkPro Lite is that red emitter. I wish they could have packed the red emitter into the actual ArkPro itself, but I get it. Technology, spacing, and stuff like that creates a lot of issues. The technology going into their creating their own LEDs for some of these flashlights because of the fact that they can't find what they're looking for, so their engineers got together and started creating their own LEDs. I mean, that's very innovative, at least from my perspective. And but the thing is, either way, either direction, you really can't go wrong. For my everyday carry, for something like indoors, I'll probably focus in on probably the ArkPro Lite because it seems like more of an indoor kind of situation, but it's also going to come in handy at a campsite. Very small, compact, lightweight, so that I have that red emitter on there so that, preserves the night vision, yada, yada, yada. I've kind of gone over that. There's lots of reasons why there's red lights on headlamps and flashlights and so on and so forth. But just to kind of give you that breakdown of why I like that. But more so, I may carry both. I'll be honest with you. I might put one on my pack and one in my pocket, just because when I want to utilize that red emitter versus just a nice, strong, powerful flood or a powerful beam, I kind of want to go to the ArkPro. Very confusing for me, so yeah, I'm just probably going to run both. What are your guys' thoughts on the ArkPro and the ArkPro Lite versus the original Arkfeld ecosystem? Now we're moving into the ArkPro ecosystem. Very similar, as you can see when I showed you those kind of down shots of the original variation into what they have created now, the new monster. But they really put in some thought into this, and that's what I think. But I'm really always curious to what you, the viewers. I know there's a lot of you folks that specifically are into Olights like I am, as well as some of the flashlights in general, or as they call them, torches overseas, that really like specific types of companies and what they put into their products. Some people also kind of cater more towards pricing. Outside of that, folks, I hope you got if you got any value out of the video, I truly appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button. It's always greatly appreciated. And for the folks that stay to the end of this to hear me ramble on about my final thoughts on these two amazing flashlights by Olight, I truly appreciate that. Again, if you are interested in these guys, I will link it down in the description as well as a pinned comment. If they're not on sale, I'm pretty sure I have some sort of discount code for the company as well. I think it's 10% off. But check it out. Look at some more details. I always implore one of those words, to go check out other review videos. You know what I mean? Not just check out mine. If you want to see a little bit more of someone who has a lot more scientific, nerdy breakdowns of these lights, then have at it. You know what I mean? Before you make your decision, look at reviews. Look what people are talking about before you go out there and spend your hard-earned money. Outside of that, folks, remember, you are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys in a rebound. God bless all you amazing people out there. And again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video.